Hello and welcome back once again to After the Credits. So this is a movie that's been out for a little while, but it's a Christmas movie, and I wanted to put a Christmas movie review out on Christmas, so that's why you're seeing this now. So today's movie is Bad Santa 2. Bad Santa is probably one of my favorite Christmas movies. I tend to watch it just about every year. And then I heard they were making a sequel, and I was like, okay, that's either going to be really good or really bad. And now I saw it, so now I can tell you which one it is. And it's somewhere in between. It's not as good as the first one, but it's not as bad as some sequels. It doesn't need to exist, but at the same time, it doesn't really hurt anything by existing, if that makes sense. But overall, it didn't really need to be made. I mean, it's fun to catch up with the characters, 15 years later or whatever, but more or less it's kind of the same story. So we start out with Willie, Santa from the first one. He's still down on his luck, and he's kind of going over like everything that happened since the first one, how the kid still kind of checks in on him every now and then, even though he's tried to get rid of him. He explains his breakup with the girl from the first one and why she's not in this one. So that is explained, and it's basically got him kind of down on his luck again, kind of like he was in the start of the first one. And he's about to kill himself, which you see in the preview. And the kid shows up while he's in the middle of hanging himself, and he's like, "Oh, Willie, this package showed up at my house for you. It's got money and a phone in it." So Willie, stops trying to kill himself. He takes the phone and figures out what's going on. And he meets up with, what's the guy's name? Marcus, the little guy from the first one, the most annoying part of that first movie, other than Bernie Mac and John Ritter's character. Actually, it's kind of odd to think both of those characters are gone. Bernie Mac passed and John Ritter passed. Otherwise, they'd probably be in this sequel as well, in some way. At least Bernie Mac's character, I think, would have made a reappearance. I don't know. But, yeah, both of them are gone. So we meet up with Marcus, and he's like, we have a job that we can go do, but it's in Chicago. And Willie says, "Well, who's the job for?" He goes, "I don't know. I was just told to get you because they're familiar with your skills and they want to hire us." So they get on the bus or the train or whatever, go to Chicago, and they're supposed to meet up with their contact at this Santa organization. So Willie's already mad because he's got to get back in the Santa suit, and he ends up doing it anyway, and then finds out that his contact is his mother, who I guess had him when she was like 13 years old, and she was already a criminal then. And, she had a drinking problem as well, and things like that. She's just never been a nice person. Her and his father both brought him up kind of badly, which is why he is the way that he is. So at first he doesn't want to work with her because he hates her, and he finally agrees to go ahead and do it. And then it just kind of plays out like the first one did, where they get into this organization, they find out all the information they need as far as the security system, what kind of safe it is, so on and so forth. And they plan out their heist. Meanwhile, Thurman Merman, the little boy from the first one, who's now 21 years old, finds out that Willie's not going to be back in time for Christmas, and he doesn't feel that Willie should be alone on Christmas, and the kid doesn't really have anyone because his mother passed way before the first one. I guess his dad's still in jail on those embezzling charges, even though Willie and Marcus have both been in and out of prison like 4 or 5 times now. How is this kid's dad still locked up? And we do find out later in the film, spoilers, Grandma has passed away. So yeah, Thurman's just kind of on his own now, which is kind of weird. So yeah, he's like, Willie, you're kind of the only family I have left, and I think families should be together on Christmas. So he goes to Chicago to meet up with Willie, and then, of course, once the kid's in Willie's life, Willie starts to get kind of soft-hearted. He's like, I can't really do the things and be as neglectful as I would normally be because this kid's around. It's something about this kid that brings out Willie's nice side. And yeah, basically the rest of the movie kind of plays out like that. It's Willie coming back to terms with, he finds people in his life that he likes that sort of understand him and are willing to put up with him. And, he kind of gets back to that happy place in his life that he was at the end of the first movie. So then he doesn't really want to go through with the heist, but he does anyway because it wouldn't be the movie if he didn't pull off the heist. And it has the ending you would kind of expect. So, yeah, no major spoilers there. There is a lot more detail to the movie, but I don't want to give too much of it away. But yeah, did it need to be made? No, not at all. Did it ruin the first one having it made? No. But it didn't really add anything to it either, other than a little bit more of Willie's backstory And we get to catch up with Thurman Merman, now 21 years old, and still acting like the goofy little kid he was in the first one. They do comment that Thurman may actually be mildly retarded, because he says something about they tested him and he's in the upper percentage or something like that. So it's kind of like a Forrest Gump situation where he's just above the line of what would be considered retardation. Except Forrest, for being just above the threshold, or just below the threshold or whatever of retardation, actually managed to understand life a lot more than Thurman Merman seems to. So yeah, I don't know. I think they could have had him grow up a little bit. I mean, he's been living on his own since his grandmother passed, so obviously he has to be getting by fairly well. But yeah, it just seems like he should have kind of woken up to the real world a little bit more at this point. But, you know, whatever. Maybe they'll improve it a little bit by the time they do the next one in 10 years, because then he'll be almost 30, and if he's still acting like this, then there's a problem. But yeah, so that's the movie in a nutshell. What would I give it as far as a star rating? I'm going to have to compare it to what I would have rated the first one. And the first one, I would have gave probably like a 4. I probably would have actually gave it a 4.5 if it wasn't for some of the crappier characters and kind of taking away from the fun part of the story in favor of the heist movie. But at the same time, the heist movie kind of was the shell around why all this was happening to Willie. So the first one lost a little bit for that, but it's still a fun movie. Compared to this one, however, I would have to knock this one down a little bit from the first one, because like I said, it's not a bad movie, it's there, you know, it didn't need to be made, it's just kind of whatever. So as far as the star rating on this one, I'm going to give it a 3. I wanted to go a little bit higher with a 3.5, but I just don't feel that it's there. The first one, the first time I watched it, I laughed hysterically nonstop almost through that whole thing, except for the low parts. This one, I only vaguely chuckled at a couple parts and only got one really good ha towards the end. So I really can't even give it like a 3.5. I mean, it's a 3, it's just barely a smidge over a 3, I guess, like a 3.1 if I could break it down. But yeah, other than that, it's just a middle of the road film. Not bad, not good, but it works for what it is. So there you have it. That's my review of Bad Santa. Sorry it's late, but like I said, it's a Christmas movie. Why did they put it out a month before Christmas? I don't know. So, saving it for Christmas. Hope you guys enjoy it. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Links are down there in the description. Hit the bell up there. Make sure you're getting alerts when I post new things. And until next time, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you after the credits.